Welcome to the first component of the Curiosity Engine. Today we're going to be talking all things values. And you may be curious, what are values? Well, values are underlying principles that every human has that will either motivate us, inspire us, or cause us to disengage. I refer to these as disengagement measures. So I'll give you a quick example of values. If you were to talk about innovation, you would see my face light up. You would see that my words become a lot more animated and my body language starts to lean in and I start to have a bit more excitement in what I'm talking about. Now, if you were to talk about stagnation, or if we were talking about a topic where we're not doing things for the common good, you may see me retreat. You may see my body language close off and I might glaze over in my facial features because I'm thinking about other fun things in my head rather than contributing to the conversation. Both of these are tells. And in this game, we're going to be learning about what is important to other people. Because when we're designing for people, we need to understand what motivates them. And we also need to understand what their disengagement measures will be if we accidentally push the wrong button with our solution. Why does this come first when we're talking about design and innovation and positive deviance? Well, values show up in every interaction, whether we know this consciously or not. Before we can understand the culture around us, we need to understand the values from within us. This values game is designed for us to learn and observe others to start perfecting the craft of reflecting and noticing values and how people represent that in every interaction. This helps us give us a greater understanding of what the values that motivate us and drive us. Because whatever solution we come up with, it needs to be something that we are proud of. It needs to be something that motivates us. Otherwise, when things get hard, it's going to be really easy to disengage if we don't truly believe in the solution that we've come up with ourselves. There is also a lot of power in finding those that are like-minded, those that have similar connections to what you have inside, to amplify that enthusiasm and inspiration and come up with a really amazing solution. So before we start deep diving into problems, it's really good opportunity to understand and reflect what motivates those around us. Because when you're gathering your stakeholders and you start to interview people, you are going to see patterns in what they're saying and what they're doing. And this is going to help explain to you what is the underlying motivation behind the problem. And it will help you when it's time to come up with a solution for that problem because we understand what's driving it. So in each round of the values game, there are 4 key steps that I'm asking you to take. In the first step, it's to observe. This is the practice of writing down key words that you're getting from a conversation. A word that they've repeated multiple times. Something that has emerged as a pattern. That is step 2, which is grouping them together. So if somebody says something like collaboration 3 times in a period of 2 minutes, it's safe to say that collaboration is going to be one of those overarching values, but there might be some other subtle nuances which also said collaboration, but they haven't specifically said that word. The practice of writing them down and grouping them is a really powerful way of understanding what those undercurrents are in the motivation of the person in front of you. In the third step, I'm going to ask you to flip that. This is the disengagement measure that I mentioned earlier. So if we were designing for this particular person, what would we do if we wish to disengage them? Or more importantly, what button are we looking to not push when it comes to this particular person? And then the 4th step is to reflect. What did you learn from this? What did it tell you? I'd like you to note one insight before you go to the next round. And I'll explain the rounds in a second. But they are also designed to start using this exercise like a muscle. We're starting to build up her capabilities step by step. And each step gets harder and harder. That's the beauty of the values game. And the more you play it, the sooner you'll realize that you'll start doing this subconsciously. You'll start noticing where you do it and what words you're emphasizing as part of this process as well. You'll start learning how you show up in every situation as well as other people. And that's where the beautiful and powerful connection begins. In round one, we're going to be focusing on somebody you know. This could be somebody in your life, a colleague, it could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could even be your manager at work. It doesn't have to be a specific interview that you set up. It could be a reflection exercise on a conversation that has already occurred. Now, in first round, it's all about writing down your observations. Think of patterns, things that people are saying, jot them all down. It's about quantity, not quality at this stage. Then, for step 2, we're going to group those together. And we're going to start coming up with overarching values that that particular person has demonstrated. And then we want to flip that. We want to look at that disengagement measure. How, if we were to design for this person, how would we avoid disengaging them? What is the antonym to the values that they are presenting? And then last step is to reflect. Now, in your handbooks, there is a lived example. And in this particular example, there is the manager, Sarah. And Sarah is conducting a team meeting where there has obviously been something that has gone wrong at work, and she's specifying and emphasizing the word accountability. In this example, she also pushes back when people are not being specific or they're being vague in their answers. She praises people when they admit mistakes, or if they take accountability, or if they are being specific in their responses to the questions that she's asking. So if we were to take a raw capture, what did we learn from that? Accountability, honesty, directness. What values is she showing? Integrity, accountability, directness, and transparency. So how would we flip that? And what would her disengagement measure be? Perhaps deception, blame shifting, vagueness, avoidance. This process is designed to not be confronting. We're dipping our toe at this stage. But it's a good example and a good way of understanding what motivates people and what are those secret currents that are currently driving somebody's motivation, and how can we leverage that? In round 2, we're going to be focused on a public figure. So a good way of doing that would be to find an interview. It could be a live TV interview, it could be a YouTube video, it could be a reel or even a TikTok. The goal here is to hit play and start capturing. So just like in round 1, this is about quantity because we're going to have adequate time to refine and collate, and that will give you your quality. Capture fast. Don't judge yourself and don't question what you're writing at this stage. At this round though, I'd like you to dig a little bit deeper. And by doing that, I'd like you to also focus on body language. Are there any associations with body language changing when people are saying keywords? What are people saying when they change that body language? Do they withdraw? Do they lean forward? Where do they light up? And what is that telling you with the words that are associated with that movement? We're going to be grouping these, and again, I'd like you to think of your disengagement method for that particular person. And the reflection exercise this round is going to be very focused on drawing the connections between round 1 and the person that you have a direct connection with versus a public figure where you may not have had a direct connection. Because, and here's my hypothesis that I know you will confirm for me, there will be common thread. There will be something that is motivating both people through this exercise. So, this is where our curiosity starts to come into play. This is where positive deviance gets to come out and play. Because I don't think you would have made these conscious connections if you had not completed these exercises. And that is going to be your reflection exercise for this particular round. Round 3 is going to be all about a brand or organization. So choose a brand or an organization that you've worked with currently, in the past, one that you're genuinely curious about, or you may admire and want to know more about them. This is all about the written word. And this is a little bit more challenging because you don't have that human connection. We're going to be looking at their home pages and they're about us. Let's have a look at some media releases. Let's look at their social media. Let's have a look at their mission and value statements. And have a look at how they talk about their customers or to their customers. Because this is going to give us another version of values and how they present to the world. The reflection exercise after round 3 is all about finding those common threads between each section of this exercise. And there will be common threads, whether they are conscious or unconscious. Humans have a way of finding connections. And so this is a really good way of helping you identify those and start getting familiar with that process. Because this is a really, really powerful exercise once you start getting good at it. And once it starts coming naturally, you'll start reading things and looking for keywords. What are they trying to tell me in this? What can I learn from this? And this is all really, really important for your practice as a social innovation expert. For our final reflection, I'm going to look back at everything that we've learned from each of these rounds. I'd like you to think about what is emerging for you. Where have you identified common threads? How have the humans found ways to connect with each other? Do you have any personal insights? How has this made you feel about yourself and how you present yourself to the world? Do you have tells? Do you guard your tells? What's motivating you to guard your tells? This is going to give you a unique insight to how you present to the world, what you can learn from how others present to the world, and where the values sit in all of that. So, at the end of this exercise, I would like you to make one commitment to yourself. And that is, think of one thing that you're going to do differently because you've learnt about values and the importance of how people can find ways to connect with you through them.